Ka kai ka roa, e la kai ka vai vai, e la kai na mea au.
Aloha kakahiaka kākou. Aloha and welcome to Ema Wana Hula, our 19th annual. Woohoo!
I, Kona Haʻaheo i Kala'i. Kona Haʻaheo, Kona Haʻaheo i Kala'i. O Hawaii hano i ka malie. Kona Haʻaheo, Kona Haʻaheo i Kala'i. O Hawaii Ka ohi ana, Humehana, humehana wale ho'i I a ha'aina. Aloha na inia o ho'olu. Humehana, humehana wale ho'i I a ha'aina. Aloha na inia o ho'olu. Ha'ina, Aina ia mai ana tapu maina Hori hori holo na he inoa Haina Aina ia mai ana tapu maina Hori hori holo na he inoa Hei no no, liho liho. ke kako me na ali'i I ula matua ma ulo alai 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 ai Ano ai me ke aloha ia ka koa pā, aloha ka kai a ka. Aloha. My name is Kumomo. I'm from Kona. I live here all my life. These are my dancers, actually our dancers. My front row here, this is my Papa Ie. This is my class that is going to be uniki very soon into the kumu status. And we have decided that we're going to keep our halau as a whole entity, and they will become Nakumu Hula. Our name is going to change just a little bit. Right now it's called Napua Haʻaheo o Kona, but when this whole thing happens, we are going to be called Nalei Haʻaheo o Kona, because all the pretty flowers that have gathered through the years are now sown into a lei. We are, like I said, from Kona, and Kona is our home, and we love it here. And we come every year to this event. This is the event that I insist that we take part in, because I believe in Kumuke'ala's mission to e mau anaka hula. That is very, very important that we see the continuance, the preservation of our hula traditions. Even if we come from different hula schools, it is important that all the traditions are kept. We come here to honor Laka, our goddess, and we also come here to honor our Mo'i Kane Kalakaua for his visions and his akamainas of, you know what, saying, no, hula will become a public thing again, without no restrictions from no Christian entity at all. And so we mahalo these, we mahalo Laka for her continuous ho'olu, and we also mahalo Kalakaua. I love to tell stories. And that usually gets me into a whole lot of running overtime kind of situations. But it's hard not to tell the stories when you're going to do a hula. When you can tell them olelo, and everybody can hear the story connected to that mele, I think it makes the hula fuller. And so today, we practiced a whole lot. The dancers this is actually their first year, most of them, experiencing me, and I didn't hold back. I challenged them like I challenged all my dancers from the past, and I gave them lots and lots of stories and lots of hula. And we actually worked really hard for a really nice long program, but because there's a whole lot of other kumus, I had to like this morning say, okay, we're gonna have to cut a lot of them out. But I decided I chose some stories that I thought that because I haven't done them a lot, that I wanted to keep them, and that's the ones I wanted to feature today. I love the pele hulas. That's what I grew up in, was the pele hulas. But like my kumu, she told me there's other hulas also. So, the first hula I'm going to do is called Kivelina Maine. Kivelina Maine is a hula that is in honor of our god Kane. Kane is the foremost of all the four major gods of Hawaii. He is the procreator of life, of all things living on the land, in the ocean, and in the air. And Kane works hard all the time. And there is only one night that is coupled to him, that he's allowed to take a day off and do what he wants to do. And that is the Pokane. When we were little, Pokane was a thing that our grandparents and our parents taught our children that, you need to pay attention to the Pokane. Because on the Pokane nights, Kane would come down to Honua and he would get together with the Kini Akua, all the little godlings that would inhabit the forested areas, that whose kuleana was to malama, to take care and make sure the plants are growing all well in our forests. But they would be sleeping and they're having a good time, just laughing among themselves. And when Kane has satisfied himself with that merriment, he would tell the Kini Akua it's time to go back up to where they came from. And he would lay himself down on his moina, his mat, and he would put his head down on his uluna, his pillow, and he would cover himself with a blanket of mist, hiding himself from anybody from seeing him for the rest of the month until he comes again on the next Pokane. And this song, Kibalina Maine, was set in Waipio. The place that he gathered with the Kini Akua is at the top of Waipio, a place called Hula. And they would go down into the valley, play their tricks, and then he would come back up, and that's where he would go to sleep. So we're going to do for you the song Kibalina Maine Ke Kini Olalo in honor of our God, Kane. Ma Koko. Kevelina maine ke kini o lalo na ua o kakana ele o puna a kai kano kaua I kaukani no kane I ka papa I no ia lau kano e lani a pi I lani lai e ala wa mau nau kane I ka wa kau he ai ta una oi o lani ka muena pa ia e ka pa kan no e ka o pa akai a kini la vulai e ala e na mai me ke kini o lalo a o kau kana e de o puna Arai kanu kauai kaukai Lu kane I ka papa I loria Lau kalore lani Api I lani lai Wa mau nau kane I ka awa Wa kau kere hai ka una Wai o lani I ka muena Ia e ke kanu e kao o pa akai a ki nau e ala e no kane. Okay, the next mo'olelo that I want to share for you is a story about this woman. Her name was Haʻaheo. Haʻaheo was a very beautiful woman, very, very beautiful. And coming from the south, from the homelands in the south, was this ali'i. His name was Ke'aunini. And Ke'aunini, when he saw Haʻaheo, he fell in love with her. And so they got married, and they had a son, a child. And when Ke'aunini had his little family going on, he he really desired to take them back to the south, to the homelands, and to, to show his family, to all of his family there and his friends. And so he took them down to Kahiki. And while he was there, Ke'aunini, he began to, reunite with all his friends, and they started doing their thing from like before, partying and all of that. And Ke'aunini just got into the whole partying thing again, that he forgot about his family. And he left them at home. Days and days and days without even paying attention to them. And eventually Haina Kolo became very kaumaha, very sad that, Ke'aunini wasn't even paying attention to her or to their son. And so Haina Kolo, her iini, her desire was to come back to Hawaii. But the only way she could come back, she couldn't get anybody to bring her back because of Ke'aunini. So the only way she decided that she was going to be able to come back home to Hawaii was to swim. To swim all the way from Kahiki back to Hawaii. And she decided that's what they're going to do. So she tied her son onto her back, and then she got into the ocean and she began to swim. But I think so, Haina Kolo probably had a different motive, that in her sadness, that she was probably hoping that the ocean would swallow her up and just put an end to her misery of what she was feeling at that time. But I believe that the Akua had a different plan for Haina Kolo, because Haina Kolo survived the swim all the way back from Kahiki to Hawaii. And she ended up on the beach at Waipio. And when she got there, and she finally woke up from her tiredness of swimming all that way, she felt the pains of hunger. And she knew her son was hungry. So she decided she's going to climb the walls of Waipio to get to the forest up above, the forest of Mahiki, and that's where she was going to go in search for food. And so Haina Kolo does that. She climbs the walls of Waipio, and she gets up into the forest, and she finds all these things that she could eat, especially the bule berries. But Haina Kolo was so hungry that she just began eating this food, and she forgot to give thanks to the deity of the area, thanking them for what they had provided for her. And in that mistake of hers, she became, the Hawaiian word is pupule. She became crazy, deranged. And she started to wander about in the forest, not taking care of herself. She became very lepo, very unkempt. Her hair was all hihiyam, everything. And she kept on, her and her son wandered around in the forest for a long, long time. And then these stories started to happen. The stories about this woman and her son and her baby wandering around in the forest, and this woman is all kind of like, she's not in her right mind. In the meantime, Ke'aunini, realizing, his wife is not here anymore in Kahiki, and he realizes why she probably left, he comes searching for her. And his search brings him to Hawaii again. And while he's here, he hears of this story about this crazy woman wandering around in the forest above Waipio. And then listening to the story about this little baby boy and about this woman, and actually she's a pretty lady, but she's all lepo. He thinks, I wonder if that's my wife. So he goes to the forest and he finds her. And sure enough, that is Haina Kolo. And Ke'aunini takes Haina Kolo and he embraces her again. And he starts to nurture her, feeding her, taking care of her, cleaning her up, her and the son. And eventually, Haʻaheo regains her sanity. And they again reunite as a happy couple and live happily ever after. So, this story is a happy story that became a disaster and ended up as a happy story again. But we're going to do this song for you called Aia Waipi o Paka'alana that talks about this mo'olelo of Haʻaheo. And I'm going to be using as my accompaniment for this 2 bamboo pipe organs, which we call ka'eke. So hope you folks enjoy this song. Waipi o Paka'alana. I love the pele hulas, and I cannot do a show without doing a pele hula. But we're going to do what is the hula that, the first hula that was introduced into the pele hula, into the pele family. The story to this mele is that Iake Kapoli Opele, the youngest of the Ohana, she leaves Halima Uma'u, Kilauea, and she goes to Panaema Forest to gather Ohi Alehua and Liko Lehua and things like that to make into leis, so that she can bring them back to Kilauea, so that she can adorn her brothers and her sisters, and everybody looks beautiful. Okay? But in the meantime, Pele also decides that she's going to take the rest of the Ohana, and they're going to go on a huaka'i, a little journey down to Lower Puna, to the ocean, and they're going to enjoy the day at the beach, and also enjoy all the different kinds of delicacies, the foods that they can gather from the ocean. And while they're there, Hi'iaka is finished with her lei making, and on her way back to Halimau, she gets sidetracked. She notices these two women down by the beach, by the ocean, down at Ke'au side, at the beach called Nanahuki. And the two women are Hopoi and Ha'ena. And they're doing what Hi'iaka found out later was called the hula. First time Hi'iaka ever saw something like that, and she was very attracted to it and very enhanced with it. And so she approached the two women and she expressed her desire to learn this hula. And so Hopoi, who is the dancer, and Ha'ena, who is the ho'opa, Hopoi, she takes Hi'iaka and they become actually really good friends, Hopoi and Hi'iaka, the best of friends. But she teaches Hi'iaka a hula, the first hula that to come into the Pele family. And the song that she teaches them is this song called Ke Ha'ala Puna Ikamakune. Puna dances in the wind. And so today, actually, I tell my dancers, Ke Ha'ala Puna Ikamakune is my favorite of all kahiko hulas. I have my favorite for Oana, but for kahiko, this is my favorite hula. And so, of course, I love this because I get to rest from chanting. They do everything themselves. I get to just kick back and watch them and enjoy this whole thing. So, enjoy with me. Makoko.
Ami ke kai o
love when I get to rest. And so I'm going to take a little bit more rest time here. After this happens, and the ohana goes back to Kilauea, Pele decides to go into a sleep. And that sleep takes us into another whole set of stories from Pele, but we're not going to go there. We're just going to go to the sleep part. And Pele gives an instruction to her ohana that no one is to disturb her in her sleep. And if they have to, the only person that she would allow to wake her would be the youngest sister, Hi'iaka i Kapoli o Pele. Well, in Pele's sleep, her kino vailua, her spirit form, leaves her body, and it goes on a journey. And the journey takes her to the island of Kauai, where she meets and falls in love with a handsome chief from Haʻaheo on the island of Kauai. Haʻaheo. And that's where this whole big set of other stories happen, but we're not going to go there with Haʻaheo yet because that's a whole long story. But what I want to get to is that after 3 days of sleeping and not waking up, the ohana and Kilauea become very worried about Pele. They're worried that if she doesn't come back, her spirit doesn't come back soon, that her body might become so corrupted that the spirit will want to come back into it. And so they send for Hi'iaka to come and please wake up Tita, because she's been sleeping too long. So Hi'iaka comes and she awakens Pele with this very gentle and very calm chant. Iala e iala. So now is my time for the pause with my break, and I have to go back to work over here with the next mo'olelo. Throughout time, there have been many suitors that have come to try to woo Pele, you know. And one of them comes from the island of Oahu. His name is Kamapua'a. Kamapua'a, who is our pig demigod. And he comes to a kanikolea above a Kilauea, and he stands up on the kanikolea looking down into Hale Ma'u, and he sees Pele, and he tries to, ho'omale her with his sweet talkings, you know. But Pele, she recognizes him without even having to look at him, and she completely ignores him. And all the sisters are saying to Pele, "Sis, look at that very handsome man up there standing on the hill, trying to get your attention. Why don't you pay attention to him?" Because he's nothing but a pig. My goodness, why waste my time with that? You know? But this is, no, look, he's a very handsome man standing up there. You know, these demigods, they can do that. They can change their forms and their shapes and what they ever want to do. They're shapeshifters. And so at this time, he's presenting himself as a very handsome man. But Pele still says, no, 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 he's nothing but a pig. I don't want to have nothing to do with him. Tell him to go away. Well, Kamapua is becoming very insulted by this time. And so his sweet words are now starting to come down as daggers. And he starts to insult Pele. And Pele says, yeah, you watch out. Keep it up and I will get you. I will come and take care of you myself. But Kamapua, he tries his best to just insult Pele, to rile her up, because he's saying, okay, if you don't want to have me, then I'm going to make you any kind. But eventually Pele does have her full of him, and she engages with him in many different battles there at Kilauea. And in the many different battles, which I cannot go through all of them right now, because the mo'olelo that I want to tell happens way over here, and I want to go over there because I don't have very much time left. A lot of those battles in Kilauea explain a lot of different things that we see today, like the red ama'u fern, and why we see that the pu'a that we have of their backs of the hair on the back of their neck and some stands up stiff, and all these different kinds of things about and how Hale Ma'u gets his name because of the ama'u fern that he tries to smother the fires out and things like this. But yes, Kamapua and Pele, Kamapua thinks he can beat the goddess, but he's only a demigod. And so eventually Pele, she chases him out of Kilauea. But she's so angry with him that she keeps on chasing him until he gets all the way into Hilo. And once you cross Wailuku River, going into the Hilopaliku side, into the Hamakua side, that is, Pele's territory already ends on this side of the river, and that side belongs to Kamapua. But Pele doesn't care, Kamapua came into her place, and he insulted her. She's going to go after him until she gets her, until she's satisfied. So she chases him into his own realm. And at the place called Honamu, outside of Hilo, where Akaka Falls is located, above of Akaka Falls, there is this cinder cone, this hill, that is so uncommon for the area. That's the only one that you will see in that whole entire area on that side slope of Mauna Loa. Is a hill called Ka'uku. And the mo'olelo that was told to Maikumu's mom from her mom was about this battle that is finally where Pele catches up to Kamapua. And at that place, they engage in battle. And as they're tumbling on the ground here and there and everywhere, as their body hits the ground, it starts to push the dirt, and push the dirt until it starts to form this hill. The only hill like that in that area. And so the mo'olelo talks about that place, about that hill, and about that battle. Eventually, in the mo'olelo, they both get tired out, but Kamapua does have his way with Pele. And from that encounterment, Pele does have a child that nobody really talks about, because she only has this one child. But the child, who takes the form of the opelu fish, swims away and never is heard of again in any other mo'olelo. But the story was written, the mele was written by Nakumu's mom, who is Auntie Edith Kanakaole. And she wrote this song called Akauku Kahi o Kamapua. Ka'uku, the place of Kamapua. And so we're going to do this mele for you today. Huli aku huli mai huli loa e, huli aku huli mai huli loa e. Tumbling here and tumbling there, tumbling everywhere. here ultimately, just in case you wanted to know, what is that huli aku huli mai huli mai? Anyway, that's what is that rolling around on the ground, pushing the dirt. Kau.
Ai, atau tukahi o kamapua'a.
Kaleo ike kauli e ako lea me ka ame. Huli aku huli mai huli lua e. Huli aku huli mai huli lua e. Na huli mai na o aka e o aki o ka uka. Amahu kaleo ike kauli e ako lea me ka ame. Huli aku huli mai huli lua e.
You know, sorry, but the worstest thing that could happen to any kumuhula just before coming to a performance is to get sick. All this time I just trying to be so careful. Anybody that was sick, don't come near me. But guess what? At the beginning of this week, I began to say, oh my gosh, I was so not happy. So there's a lingering thing in my chest. So kalamaya, excuse me. Back to work, anyway. Before we end our program, it is tradition that whenever you have a hula performance, that, especially with Kahiko, that we try to end our hula performances with a hula ma'i. Today we're going to do 2 hula ma'is. The first one is called Hale Ma'u Ma'u. Of course, it's another pele. So it's a hula ma'i for pele, but it is kalamai. The hula ma'i is our procreation chants. It ensures the continuance of. In this case, pele continues to make land bases for us, especially for us Kanaka, so that we have place to practice our culture. And it's very real, because as our island here sits here and keeps on moving, and eventually it'll move away from the hotspot where even our tila well will stop to be run, but new islands will be formed. And right now we know that Lo'ihi, I forget what is the new name they're calling it now, but it's being formed to take its place in the Hawaiian Islands. So Pele is still creating land base for us. That every time she has a lava flow that goes to the ocean, she extends the land base for us. And so we want to say mahalo to, already. Oh, I'm so sorry, can I just do one more? Okay. Sorry, but I don't want a long time this year. I know, you know, pay attention. Anyway, no, I love Keala. I will after. And I will leave you with this because this is a short opportunity. Okay. But anyway, for our tutu. And then after that we have to go because you know. Boss said, get off now. Anyway, but before I leave you folks with this, mahalo nui loa ya o koa. Thank you very much for coming this early in the morning. Continue to support Emau Anakahula. You know, like I said, it's very important. I totally believe in this message. And I am so forever grateful to Keala. Without Keala's vision and his hard work and his halaunda avai ini ola mahalo nui ya oko. They worked so hard. They worked really, really hard. So thank you everybody. So we're gonna do Hale Ma'u Ma'u for our tutu. And then after that, we're going to have to just do our little don't forget off. Okay? Okay. Cool. Go. Loko ako hale maumaku e mauna ku e o laola ani e pele uai na pau ha maki o kalani pau ha maki o kalani pau ha maki o kalani
Me